call for February 2nd with a very special guest tonight. I'm sure you guys don't really want to see me. You want to see the guest. She's getting ready. But in the meantime, I need you guys to do me a huge favor. Get onto your social media and write one thing that you're grateful for today and hashtag it leaving a legacy. So go onto your Twitter, go onto Facebook, onto your team pages, and tell us something that you're grateful for and hashtag it leaving a legacy. And while we wait for everyone to get on, I'm going to leave you with a little music. You guys know I like it old school. And I think Missy Elliott got everybody hyped last night with the Super Bowl, right, guys? Let's go. Thanks, Allie. I knew you'd like that, Jasmine. I'm not dancing, Julie.
Yeah, did you guys see my slides?
Yeah, I can see them.
Okay, cool.
All right, well, let's get started. All right, so this call has been a year in the making. At the end of 2013, when I was a Diamond coach, I sent a message to Lindsay. You know, when you start out as a coach, you quickly learn who the successful coaches are, and as a woman, as a mom, I immediately gravitated to her and her story, and it inspired me so much. There's a lot of things that we have in common. So I was like, you know what? Let me message her and to see if she would talk to my team. And being the generous person that she is, she actually challenged me. She told me, you know what? When you hit 2-star, then I'll do your team call. So I hit 2-star, I hit 3-star, I hit 4-star, and I didn't message her until I hit 5-star and earned elite at the end of last year. So, like I said, being the generous person that she is, Lindsay Matway agreed to do our team call and be here tonight with all of us, and you guys can imagine what her schedule is like. So I'm sure you guys know this already, but she was a 2013 top coach. She's been a top coach 4 times already. She is the founder of the Bombshell Dynasty. She's a superstar diamond coach, but I'm sure that her biggest honor is being wife to Billy and mom to London. And with that, I'll give it away to Lindsay. Thank you so much for being here.
You are so welcome. You guys can hear me okay? And you can see the slides. Just want to make sure.
I can see them.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm really excited, and I am super proud of you, Audrey, for setting that goal and going after it, and not only hitting it, but going well beyond it to be a 5-star elite. That's a huge deal, and I am honored to be able to spend a little time with you guys tonight and share some of the things that have helped me in my business and Hopefully they'll help you in yours. And just to kind of give you guys a brief overview of where I'm coming from, I didn't just start out successful with Beachbody. In fact, I was like a complete failure when I joined as a coach. So I'm going to share a little bit about that. I definitely had the odds stacked against me. So back in 2010, when I joined as a coach, I was currently about $400,000 in medical debt from my daughter, who you see in the bottom left-hand corner. That's my daughter, London. She's now 6 years old, and I just put her to bed right before this call. I'm lucky today that she turned out to be a very healthy miracle baby, but at the time, she had a 90% chance of cerebral palsy, had a very severe brain bleed, and a lot of things were up in the air for our family, and we just didn't know how we were going to get out of that debt and how we were going to be able to take care of what could be a very sick baby. And before that, the only job I had ever had was in the hospitality industry, and recently as recently as a bartender. And Billy was a bartender as well, so we worked very late nights, and what we would do is, when we could, we would drop our daughter off at my dad's house. He would watch her until 4 o'clock in the morning when we got off, and we would wake up with her a couple hours later and go do it all over again, and it got to be really draining, but we did our best. But no matter how hard we seemed to work, the debt and the bills kept piling up week after week, month after month. My phone call, every time my phone rang, and still to this day sometimes when my phone rings and it's an unknown number, I cringe a little inside because there were so many debtors calling us nonstop. And I just remember my whole world feeling like it was completely out of control, and I didn't know where to start. The only thing I could think is, I just want to feel like me again. Like, I want to feel good about myself again. And so one late night while we're watching infomercials, feeding our daughter, we came across a P90X infomercial, and I thought to myself, yeah, those things are all scams. Like, those don't actually work. And my husband was like, we should try it. We should go online and see if they have YouTube videos that we can watch and see if it's legit. And so we went on YouTube, and I started watching all these videos over and over again, and I'm thinking, like, there's no way they're paying this many people to post about the results, so maybe it's legit. We should try it. So we did the 3 payments because we couldn't afford anything else, and we got the P90X. And I remember being so inspired by the YouTube videos. I was like, I'm gonna crush this. I'm gonna kill this workout. I'm gonna get my life back. And then I got it in the mail, and I put the first DVD in. I was like, yes, I'm gonna do this. And about like 10 or 15 minutes into the workout, I was like on the floor dying because I was so out of shape. I mean, of course, I just had a baby a couple of weeks earlier, but I felt so bad about myself because I couldn't keep up with these people in the video. And so I went to day 2, I did about 15 minutes of that. I went to day 3, I did about 10 or 15 minutes of that. And then day 4, I was like, oh my gosh, thank God it's yoga day because I need a break. And yeah, anybody who's done P90X yoga knows that is like the least break day. It's like an hour and a half of intense, very intense, what I did not picture yoga being. So I ended up quitting and going back to my, self-fulfilling prophecy of working and never getting ahead and feeling bad about myself. And weeks went on, and eventually I think I came across an infomercial again, and I was like, well, maybe I should restart. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and speed things up because I want to make our time as valuable as possible. But literally, it took me 4 times trying and quitting P90X before I actually stuck with it. And the way that I actually ended up sticking with it was that I decided to stop comparing myself to the people in the video, and I started to try to beat my personal best. So if I could only do 15 minutes on core synergistics, the next week when I did core synergistics again, I wanted to do 16 or 17 minutes. And the week after that, I want to do 17 or 18. And I started to beat my personal best and start to focus on the little successes that I was having. And because of that, I ended up getting in the best shape of my life just, I think, 6 or 7 months after having my daughter, London. And I posted my video up on YouTube because, 1, I wanted accountability, and 2, I hoped that if my journey could inspire one person to change their life, to feel the way that I was feeling, that I knew it was going to be worth it. And so that video, I threw it up there. I really threw this whole thing together. It was not very well thought out now looking back. But I started getting emails from a couple different women saying, you know what, I know you didn't lose a lot of weight, but your journey connected with me for some reason and reminded me of mine, and you're the reason why I bought it, and you're the reason why I stuck with it. And as someone who was going through a serious life struggle and feeling like life was out to get her, and someone who was then, when she was going to work, bartending and people are disrespectful to you and don't treat you right. To have these women writing me and saying that I was making a difference, it meant the world to me in that moment. And I remember telling Billy, I said, gosh, if I could do that for a career, that'd be like my dream job. But I don't really want to be a personal trainer because I don't have like a passion for fitness necessarily. But I love helping these women with the mental side of it. I love seeing them overcome. And he said, you should call the company if they see if they have a referral program. I'm like, that's silly. They don't have a referral program. It's an infomercial company. Well, come to find out, I did call one day and they did have a referral program and I was randomly assigned to someone. And like Audrey, I was placed on an inside leg. And the person that I was assigned to, she's never been active in the business, still is not today. The person above her, that was her sponsor, is not active. And the person above him is a founding coach that just really wasn't my style. He was the typical, what I feel like was like typical network marketing, you know, where you felt like this pressure sales and it's all about recruit, and just not something that I would feel comfortable talking to my family and friends about. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to pave my own way. And that was a decision that I made in July 2010, and now it's about 4.5 years later, and I want to share a little bit about where we are now. So we currently have about 33,000 coaches on my team. And like I said, I'm in the inside leg, and there's never been one coach placed below me. So 33,000 is from me making that decision and me inspiring a few other people who inspired a few other people who inspired a few other people who inspired a few other people to now 4.5 years later, just unbelievable ripple effect. And that has nothing to do with anything that necessarily I did. It's just my actions to change my life and the little ripple that started as a little ripple that became a tidal wave and has now changed a lot of lives. Like Audrey said, I was the 2013 top coach, and what's been really cool for me is that little girl that you see running, that's my daughter, and for me it was all about my why was creating security, never having the choices that I made in life define her future, that I'd never have to look at her when she says, Mommy, I want to do this, that I would never have to say, I'm sorry, we just can't afford that. You know, that's what was told to me my entire life, and I just could not bear to think about her coming to me with her passions and me not being able to provide for her. And so for me, it's been about debt. I wanted freedom from debt. I wanted freedom from having to do things that I didn't love. I wanted to be passionate about what I did. I never wanted to have to plan for retirement because I never want to have to retire. Like, I can't imagine waking up one single day and not wanting to do what I do today. We were able to last year pay cash for our house, and so we literally have no debt, and that is 100% thanks to Beachbody. So you're probably wondering, there's a huge gap between those two people, the person I was 4 years ago and the person I am today. And so I want to share some of the reasons and the things that I've done and the mind shifts that I've made, because it's been a huge mind shift to be able to come to that place, and how maybe you adapting some of those could help you as well. So number one, and this is super important, you have to get rid of the self-defeating story. Because the story that you keep telling yourself of the reasons that you might not succeed, or the reasons that, you know, life's been unfair to you, that victim mentality will hold you back from God's greatness in your life. You are literally given, I look back at my journey and all the broken puzzle pieces, the shattered pieces of my life, and it was like this mosaic that God was forming to be able to create this beautiful masterpiece so that nobody could look at my journey and say it was anything other than Him. And I know that every broken piece that I have in my story was there for a reason. It's there so I can look at someone else that's going through something similar today and say, you know what, I've been there too. But I know you can come out of this because I did, and I'm going to show you how. That is the gift that we all have to give with our broken story. So whatever the self-defeating story is, you've got to lay it down and use it. Figure out a way how you can share that journey to empower someone else. Because even if you didn't get your blessing, your job is to be that blessing, that answer to someone else's prayer. And that's really what I wake up every single day feeling my journey as a coach, is to be that blessing, be that person's answered prayer. Every day I can find one person that's praying for a solution with health and fitness, that's feeling like they are never going to keep up with their bills, that doesn't have any other women or men that support their dreams. You get to be that person, and that is amazing. So you have to let go of the story, though, to embrace that role. Number two, you got to be the kind of coach you wish to attract. I'm sure you guys are awesome because you guys are an awesome leader. But you have to step up as leaders of your own and embrace that role and know that you're never going to attract a coach that is better or beyond where you are. So if you're like sitting there waiting and hoping you're going to attract this superstar diamond coach and that's going to change your life and your business is going to change, well, unless you're a superstar diamond coach, you're probably not going to attract that person. You have to become the kind of coach you want to attract, because if you are a victim mentality, I promise you the people that you attract into your life, they're going to be victims and they will drain you. I know for me, I started to attract what I was originally as a leader. So I was attracting the person who was making a lot of excuses, had literally failed everything she had ever started. That was a dropout from high school. I mean, I was attracting my past self because I didn't feel worthy of leading anyone beyond that. And so it took a lot of personal development for me to build up my confidence enough to realize that I could lead people that were even beyond where I was, that I could work so hard at myself that I would then develop into the kind of person that those people would be attracted to. So understand that if you are attracting people that you don't necessarily feel like you want on your team, that could be something to do with you. It's more work that you need to do on yourself and really defining who you're looking to attract and why you're looking to attract that person, which I'm going to touch on in a little bit. Number 3, I focused on making things easier for others than they were on me. So I always try to seek to simplify. I know Audrey probably worked 10 times harder because she didn't have that help. And I know that was for my case. I had to watch every YouTube video I possibly could. I stocked out any kind of training I could get on. If I could sneak on someone's team call, I would, because I was desperate to learn as much as possible, as fast as possible, so that I could help my team succeed. And I didn't want them to have to go and do the exact same thing. They didn't have all the hours that I did. And so I took everything that I learned and I simplified it. So if I watched 10 calls, I would then make a video on my notes for those 10 calls and summarize it into maybe 20 minutes rather than them having to go watch the 5 hours of content that I had to. So you guys always want to do the same for your team. You are so blessed, let me tell you. When I started as a coach, there was no coach training academy. There was no coach basics. There was no challenge packs. There's nothing. So you guys are already so lucky that you have everything that you do, but don't take it for granted and don't stop at thinking that you can improve things from where they are today. Remember all the questions you had when you were a new coach, and then seek out the best answers and provide those answers in an easier way for your future coaches. That's the mindset you have to have as a top leader. Number 4, speak your truth unapologetically. This is a huge mantra of mine because it's something that as I embraced it, my influence grew tremendously. I used to be a pretender, so I would pretend that everything was cool, everything was fine. Because I came from a very chaotic childhood of 2 alcoholic parents, I wanted my life to be perfect, and if it was anything other than that, I felt like a failure. And so I had this big wall up. But once I finally let go and I embraced the fact that, like I said earlier, your self-defeating story, that story, those broken pieces were actually there to be used. That if I spoke my truth unapologetically, if I was me to the core, like even if people were offended by what I believed in, I knew if I was living my truth that I was going to succeed. And that same thing is going to be true for you. Offer value freely and often. So I use my social media to enrich people's lives, whether they are directly linked to me or not. So I don't care if another coach is benefiting from the material I'm putting out there. Fantastic, because I don't have a scarcity mindset, which is the next thing. I think people fear that there's going to be like, oh my gosh, there's going to be this oversaturation of coaches and we're going to run out of customers, we're going to run out of coaches. And that's just not the case. Think about how many millions and millions and millions of people there are on social media. I think I heard the other day it was 900 million people are active on Facebook daily. 900 million. You know how many coaches there are? Like 200,000. That's like a little minuscule drop, like pin drop in the amount of people that are on social media. And then there's millions and millions and millions of people that are obese. There's millions of people that feel like they don't have anybody who believes in them. So you have to understand that there is no scarcity. You might have a friend who's also a coach, but if you were to go into a restaurant tomorrow and stand up and yell in the room, how many of you guys are Beachbody coaches? You're likely not to find one, but if you do find one, it'll literally be one. And then if you ask people, what is a Beachbody coach? Nobody could answer you. Like the only reason it seems so oversaturated is because you're spending all your time with coaches in a coach group on Facebook. But other than that, there really isn't a lot of people that even know what we do and even know what Beachbody is. So you have to break free of that. The next one is look to others as inspiration, not competition. Compete with yourself. Like I told you early on in my story about how I failed and failed and failed and failed with P90X, it wasn't until I started competing with myself that I actually succeeded. The same is going to be true for your business. The more you focus on competing with yourself, beating your own personal best, and not looking to the left or to the right and why that person's succeeding faster than you and letting that defeat you, the better off you're going to be. So you cannot compare, even if you started on the same day with someone else, you cannot compare their chapter 20 to your chapter 1. So if they have been a product of the product for a year, if they have this huge fitness influence, or maybe they have 2,000 friends on Facebook and they've just always really been active on there, and you are just getting on Facebook, you are starting your journey, and you look over at them and they're beating you and you're discouraged by that, that's silly. They are so much further along, even though their sign-up date was the same day. They are further along in their journey and they put more work into being where they are. You cannot be jealous of that. So let go of that comparison and be inspired by those people. There's so much to learn from other coaches in the network, both on your team and not on your team. And I constantly, even me, I always go on YouTube and watch other leaders or upcoming leaders' stuff. I want to learn and become better. And as soon as you're under the illusion, same thing as like the top, if you're under the illusion that you've got this, you're going to start falling. The same thing happens to us. And I see a lot. I mean, I started going on the top 10 trips in 2011. And I think not one of those people are on the trip this year. And I often think about, why is that? You know, why haven't they stayed? And I wonder if it's that they got comfortable and then things continued to change and they fell behind. So don't ever get complacent, but also don't ever look at people and think, I don't like her because she's beating me, or I feel bad about myself because I'm letting her beat me. That's not the truth. Everyone's on their own journey with different pieces and different purpose. So focus on you and beating your personal best every single day. And lastly, ask yourself often, how can I do this better, or how can I make this better? And is this the best use of my time? So I am 100% not great with personal organization or anything like that. So I'm not going to coach you on organization, but what I will tell you is that I constantly ask myself throughout the day, is this the best use of my time right now? And it checks me, because a lot of times I notice I focus on the things I really enjoy. I like making little graphics for my Facebook, and I'll spend an hour doing one. But then I'll realize, yeah, I am totally not prepping for that call, or I'm not prepping to write that girl back who wrote me a really, really long message, or I'm avoiding my workout. You know, figuring out what that thing is that you're avoiding, it's usually the thing you need to do most, and just getting it over with and making sure that you're using your time wisely, because there's so many different ways that we can waste our time as coaches, and just because you're online doesn't mean you're actually working. So go to the next thing. You guys asked about creating team culture. And I wanted to share this graphic with you because this is something I actually made like only probably 4 or 5 months into my journey. And I was trying to decide what I wanted my team to look like. So a lot of times I spent time thinking, okay, 2-3 years from now, what does my team look like? What do I want it to, who do I want to be a part of it? And I knew that I had the opportunity for the first time in my life to be able to choose the people I work with. So when I was a bartender, I couldn't choose who they hired, but I can now. I can choose the people I spend my time with, and I wanted to choose wisely. I think oftentimes when we're brand new coaches, we are like, anybody we can convince, I am game, just come join my team. But think about it, guys. Like, you get to choose the people you work with. Choose the most amazing, most inspiring, awesome people you know. And so I wanted to define what a bombshell was, and for me, that was, a bombshell is a woman who exudes her light into the world by actively pursuing her greatest potential. She seeks to inspire others by walking the walk, a woman who is beautiful no matter her age, color, shape, or size, but because she owns her life and lives her truth. A bombshell never lets others determine her destiny. She's a leader, a motivator, and a learner of life. A bombshell's job and sole purpose is to help other women to see and bring out their inner bombshell. And most importantly for my culture of my team was I living that? Was I that person? Like, was I the leader of that motto? And for you guys, I would ask you to define, what does your team look like? What is the culture of your team like? What are the characteristics and attributes of the person that you are looking to have on your team? And it's not like a certain look necessarily, as it is the kind of person that they are intrinsically. And as I started to focus on that, I asked myself, I would weigh against who I was looking to sign up, do they match that? And they might not be there yet, but do they have even a desire to be there? So I'll show you a little bit about how I developed my niche market. I wanted someone who was like me. And the reason is because that was the person I was going to most connect with, and I was going to best be able to help. I have guys on my team. In fact, Scotty Hobbs and Miguel Carrasco, two of the top guys in Beachbody, are my personally sponsored coaches, and they've done really great, and we have an amazing relationship. They're awesome. So I'm not saying I don't sign up a girl unless she has blonde hair, blue eyes, and she, looks like the picture above. That's not the case. But I had to have sort of a format of what I was looking at. That way, when I was developing my posts on Facebook, I knew I was speaking to that person. So it's not a certain look or a gender necessarily, as it is sort of the attributes that they have. My niche market is a combination of who I want to attract and who I most easily connect to. And that person is 25 to 35 years old for me, married or in a serious relationship. They have young children. She knows she wants to make a difference but doesn't know how, wants to grow closer to God, loves fashion and beauty, doesn't want to work for the man. She's independent or wants to be, and she thought she'd be further along in life than she is. And so if I have an idea of that person, that's the person I am speaking to when I'm on Facebook, then I can better create posts that are going to reach her. If you guys are thinking, I just want to take anybody that will come, your posts are going to be very broad, and they're not really going to connect with anyone. Got to think about it like commercials, okay? Your Facebook is sort of like a commercial. And a marketing company strategizes to know exactly who their audience is, who are they targeting, who are they speaking to. That way, when that person sees the commercial, it connects with them. You guys have to think in the exact same way. And so the way that I do that is I created my 5 things. These are the 5 topics that I focus on when I am posting on social media. Now, occasionally, I'll go off the grid and I'll go outside my 5. But what I try to do is I spread between my 5 things, which are my family, my faith, fashion and beauty, Beachbody or freedom, and fitness. And at any one point during the day, if I'm going to post, I'm going to post about likely one of these topics. And I like to give advice, I like to give tips, and I use things like my personal development. So if I'm reading my book for the day, I will take my highlighter and I'll find something that resonates with me, like an aha moment like Oprah talks about. And I will create a post around my aha moment. So not only am I taking in new knowledge through personal development, but I'm sharing that knowledge with others. I don't know about you guys, but when I read something, take it in, and then teach it, it sinks in for me. And so I focus on that with personal development. That holds me accountable to growing myself. And it teaches me how to teach that advice to others, and I offer value, which makes my social media boom, because people want to spend time on pages that make them better. Fashion and beauty. That was something that has no relevance to Beachbody, right? But it totally has relevance to my niche markets. It's what they research when they're going on Pinterest or when they're Googling stuff or when they're on Amazon. That's what they're buying. And so I started to figure out, oh my gosh, people want to know what I do. They want to know what you use for your eyebrows, and they want to know what you're wearing or whatever. And they liked that. My audience likes those tips. And then I'll also show myself being a product of the product. But you don't want to do that overly obsessively. One thing I notice with coaches is that it's like I go to their page and it's all Beachbody, fitness, health, and sometimes that's unrelatable because people don't necessarily want to be a health freak. They just want to be a little healthier, but they want to make it a lifestyle. And when you seem more well-rounded, you're more attainable, you're more connectable. And so you guys need to make sure that you're varying your post. It could be something with your family. I like posting pictures of London and funny things that she does, but I also like to post like cute things I find on Pinterest on ideas. This was over here on the slideshow. It says like a old entertainment center and how they turned it into like a mini kitchen. And it's a great little cute idea. Somebody else thought about it. I didn't think of it, but I thought it was a cool idea. I pinned it, and then I shared it with my network. So how do I find these ideas? I constantly am thinking about my content, and I am not creative every single day. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to come up with posts every single day, trust me, I don't either most of the time. But what I do is I have a little folder on my desktop that says post ideas. And when I see things that inspire me throughout the day, I will drag them into my post ideas. So it could be like this top thing about the reset. This is one of my coaches, Brittany Leggett, and she had posted a really cute graphic, and I was like, oh, I like that graphic. One day when I do the reset, I'm going to do something like that. I'll drag her picture into my post ideas, and I'll save it in there. Or Joel Osteen posted a really great quote, and I drag that in there. Or I go on Pinterest and I start searching for something for my boards that I have, different boards of different categories, and I'll drag stuff in there. So like I said, I like to share my aha moments, and I think about, okay, is this what my ideal customer is interested in? Okay, so my challenge to you, focus on being more interested than you are interesting. So what I mean by that, are you really showing interest in other people, or are you waiting for people to be interested in you? Because when you're posting on social media and it's all about you all the time and you're not taking an interest in others, it's going to take a lot longer for you to build people's trust and friendship. You have to remember that people are out there and they just want to feel like they matter. And so if you make them feel important, if you really take a general interest in other people, they're going to like you and they're going to start to be interested in you. So you guys need to it needs to go both ways. So what I would tell you to do is to comment on your friend's post with the kind of post that you would like to receive. So for instance, this is just like a for instance, if it's somebody's birthday and everybody and their mom is posting happy birthday or HBD, why don't you try to post something specific to that person? Leave a sentence of something encouraging or something you love about them or the time that you met them, a memory, whatever. Because that will stand out more than if their best friend posted happy birthday on their wall. They'll remember you, and you could even be a stranger. So every single time I'm leaving a post on somebody's picture or something, I'm trying not to just be so quick with it, like blah, 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 done. I try to think about what I'm saying and how do I make this person feel special and make this message count. So I want you guys to think the same way. Number 2, find your 5 things for your mini reality show, which is what I consider Facebook to be. It's like a mini reality show. People are tuning in. What are they tuning in to do or to learn? And what is your show about, and who does it attract? Post to add value and not just to sell or recruit. And then number 3, lead with how you can better their life rather than how they can better yours. So when you're talking to people, talk about the value that you're going to add into their life rather than thinking so much about, okay, I really need the success club point. I really need this sale. I want one more coach until I'm diamond, or whatever it might be. Treat and talk to them as you would want someone to treat and talk to you. And that's just a simple golden rule, but my gosh, it's like the best rule when it comes to this business. Okay, you guys also asked where I spend my time. So there's 5 areas. 1, personal development. 2, creating content. 3, new coach training. 4, leadership development. 5, my own health and fitness journey. Okay, so in the personal development category, I listen to the National Wake Up Call. I have team calls with my team. I read books and focus on increasing my strengths. I do YouTube videos for inspiration, and I study other people's. I study great leaders, sharpen my knowledge base. Content creation, I follow and study what other successful coaches post, define what your brand and niche market is, search for content that adds value into people's lives, create a folder to keep post ideas, and post on a variety of topics to keep things fresh. Leadership development, 20-minute mentorship calls. And basically what I do is I use a scheduler called Acuity Scheduler. And you can even create little forms that they can fill out with. I can put like, what's your goal? Why is that your goal? When is that your goal to do that by? What are some of the things that you're running into that are a struggle? What are some of the things that you've succeeded in? So that way when you get on our call, that 20 minutes is power packed, because if you guys don't really control the call, calls can end up being an hour, and a lot of it's like, hey, no, so how's the baby doing? And there's too much fluff. Okay, I love relationships, but I want it to be impactful. So I let them know ahead of time. My calls are sort of 20 minutes, they're 30 minutes apart, 20 minutes long, and I go back to back to back to back. And I want those calls to be as impactful as possible. So having that form helps me to sort of know what I'm getting into right before the call, and I can give them the best possible advice. Let's see, creating goals and milestones together. We do Zoom calls or conference calls to create team camaraderie. We focus on duplication, helping them to discover their holdbacks and overcome obstacles. I am most definitely a coach. Like, I don't mess around. I put away my pom-poms in 9th grade and I left cheerleading behind because I want to do what's going to help other people be better. And so I let my coaches know ahead of time. I'm not the Jillian Michaels of coaching. I'm more like Bob, but I am going to nicely tell you where you need to change to become better because I love you. And so I am a big advocate of really digging in deep and finding your inner coach to help people be better. Lastly, new coach training, 20-minute new coach calls, same thing. I have them fill out the form. We reevaluate. I constantly reevaluate my approach. So I constantly change up how I get new coaches started right because, like I said earlier, I am always looking for ways to simplify things and make them better. I use SurveyMonkey.com, which is an awesome free website that you can use to get honest feedback from people. It's completely you can't see who left the comments, but it kind of gives me a good idea of if the training is totally overwhelming for people, if they felt like it was valuable, what did they like, what did they not like, and I can get better feedback as a leader to be able to make things even better, and then, like I said, simplify whenever possible. And of course, being a product of the product and exemplifying that lifestyle. All right, so I want to get real here. What is the one activity that you avoid in your business? And then what is one area where you waste too much time? What is one excuse that's holding you back right now? What is your main motivation to keep pursuing success as a coach? And then I know if I did this more, I would be further along. And then in the last 60 days, I have made blank progress in my fitness goals. Number 7, I'm on top of my personal development blank % of the time. If you guys can take a screenshot of this and then answer these questions, that is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will be able to see where you're weak and where you need to improve. I think deep down we all know where we need to work on. And if we're totally honest with ourselves, we can coach ourselves out of it. I know that because that's what I've done this entire 4 years. And I know when I'm real with myself where my faults are and where I can improve. And I know I see on the side there's a lot of sapphires. I have a lot of sapphire in me too. And trust me, it's a struggle. But we have a lot of amazing things about us, so use those to your benefit. But you have to get real and strengthen the fact that you have to be an owner. You have to take ownership of your role as a coach. This is your business. Nobody can do it for you. And if you really want to be a great leader to your team, you've got to step up and make those changes in yourself in order to help them succeed. So final thoughts. Surrender to what is, let go of what was, and have faith in what will be. You got to let go of the past, embrace this moment. You have an amazing opportunity in front of you. Life-changing, not only for you, but think about that little ripple that I started 4 years ago. That same ripple is starting with you right now, and you have a choice. Do you continue to let the ripple push forward, or do you kind of let it stay stagnant? You've got to push it forward so that you continue to change lives. Become the kind of leader that you would follow. Would you sign up with you as a coach? Would you want to join your challenge? Are you living this to where you would be inspired by someone like you? And if the answer is no, you got to start today. And then believe in yourself and all that you are, knowing that there is something greater inside of you, greater than any other obstacle. And finally, last thing. There's a quote that I was read a long time ago, and it just touched me so much because I've been somebody who always felt like I was going to change the world, like I wanted to change the world, I want to do something bigger with my life, and I'm sure all of you are called to that too because you're on this call right now. But this quote says, when I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. I found it was difficult to change the world, so I tried to change my nation. When I found I couldn't change the nation, I began to focus on my town. I couldn't change the town, and as an older man, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realize the only thing I can change is myself. And suddenly I realized that if long ago I had changed myself, I could have then made an impact on my family. My family and I could have made an impact on our town. Their impact could have changed the nation, and I could have indeed changed the world. 100% this starts with you. There is nothing stopping you but you. So you've got to embrace it, get uncomfortable, or get comfortable with being uncomfortable because you got to live outside that comfort zone, and dream as big as you're willing to work because the sky is the limit. So thank you all so much for having me on. I appreciate it, and I'm so excited to see where you are a year from now.
Lindsay, thank you so much. That was incredible, and I'm going to have to watch this presentation like 10 times just to get everything, absorb everything, and be on top of everything that you just covered. Thank you so much. And God bless you. Thank you to Billy for sparing you.
He's a great guy. Thank you for helping us get this all. We love the system, so we might use it ourselves, so we appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you, everybody, and Team Cups full effect. Get to work, guys. Thank you, Lindsay. Good night.
Guys, bye.